Hi everyone, my name's Steve Cusask. This time we're talking with the amazing Matt Haynes from RU Listening. Matt has given us some time today to talk about all things about his background and artist management and just general things that you will need to know to sort of help with your careers in terms of how they advance and where you go in the future. So welcome Matt, thanks for...
Hey, how you doing? You okay?
All good mate, thank you.
Good, good.
So yeah, I just thought I'd keep it quite simple to start with. And first of all, could you sort of tell us what you do now and sort of how you came to be?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I started in music at a really young age. I knew what I wanted to do from early. About 9 years old, I knew I wanted to be in music. So, when you know early what you want to do, you got loads of time to then work on it. So I used to read the back of CD covers and see who the A&R was, who produced it, things like that. So I started in music when I was 14, and I just used to get the bus to the local music studio every day after school and help out, print CDs. I ended up doing some backing vocals for a song that ended up doing quite well. And then just kind of progressed from there. I was lucky to have a good insight because I started in a recording studio, but it was also a mini kind of label called Rudo Music, and it was like a really independent outfit, like maybe two people. And then I went from that to Gut Records to see in an office environment, and they maybe had 30 staff, and it was kind of slightly bigger. And then from there, going to see Universal, where they had 7 floors and 80 staff on each floor, and it's like just a whole new world. So you open up your eyes again, and then so each stage, each department, and then when I went out and did it by myself, I knew exactly how to start, what to do. I know all the ins and outs. So that's what you got to kind of do, is learn your trade, learn what you need to learn, and then kind of set up on your own, if that's the way you want to go. Some people like to stay in the corporate structure and just grow through the rankings within the building. That's fine as well, but I find it more of an immersive experience, and I can know every facet of the industry by doing it yourself. I've done every role there is, so now I'm more of a well-rounded, complete music industry individual.
Yeah, no, totally. And looking at your background across record labels and stuff, you say that you went on to obviously launch your own management company. So how did your skills and knowledge transfer from record label exec to artist manager?
I think I'm just lucky in a way where I've got an ability to work with people. I think once you can work with people, with humans, it's like it doesn't really matter what your role is. It's just you can work it out if you're good with people. So whether you're an A&R man trying to sign a new band or trying to sign a new artist, it relies on your relationship as a person with them to get that deal done. They're not going to sign to you if they don't like you. So it's the same with being a manager. It's being personable and building relationships with people. So as a manager, I'm lucky to have that ability, and that's what made me transition really nicely. But I got that lucky break in terms of starting my own company. But just being a good person and working with people is way more important than any lucky break, really.
Yeah, no, totally. I couldn't agree with you more with that one. So from the artist management side of things, when you took on your first client to manage, for example, what were your what do you believe, looking at now, are the biggest drivers to success when managing an artist?
I think hard work. I mean, you've got to work every day. Like I was talking to Ironic earlier today, actually, and it's about consistency. I mean, some people are in the industry and they release a song a year, or they work hard for a month and then they don't work hard for another 4 months, and it's like, you got to be on it every day and every week. We're working. So you're eventually going to break down the door. You're eventually going to break down any barrier that you're trying to get through. If you work every day at it and keep going, eventually it breaks open and you go through and you get your success moment, whether that's us releasing Work Get It as an independent record and being nominated for a MOBO, or, Ironic performing at Buckingham Palace, or there's so many moments we've had, but they've all come because we worked hard and we kept going, and then you just on to the next one, and they keep rolling.
Yeah, so I guess one of the common things in the industry is, and we've all faced it a number of times throughout the years, is rejection. We all hit those periods, and it's all about how you diversify and keep going and don't lose momentum to get that
Yeah,
success.
exactly. And I think the more you're in the industry and the more experienced you are, the thicker your skin is, the more those rejections or those deals that don't get made or whatever, they just brush off you like water off a duck's back. You know, if you're a duck in water, you know, a little drop's not going to hurt you. It's going to just roll off you, and you're going to keep going. Like, so the thicker the skin you have, the easier that those rejections are, and you just keep going until and more doors open than get shut if you just have that mentality.
Yeah, I think mental health and, you know, and how you focus and conduct yourself and stuff, despite the pressures of rejection and stuff, I think it really is one of the biggest challenges. I mean, you know, yourself as an artist manager, you sort of invested in a very few artists, and you know, you kind of hope that they will be your livelihood at some point. They will make you your income to sustain.
Yeah,
So obviously, when you're facing rejection from a couple of artists that are taking up all of your time, so that you need this to work, you
yeah.
know, I guess that can be quite hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's where self-motivation and self-belief comes into it. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in what you're really doing, sometimes it can come unstuck. I mean, if you've got full belief, then, you know, it's unwavering. You're just going to keep going. It's either going to succeed or fail, but you're going to just keep going at it if you believe in it. And I feel like success is just how much time you're going to do it for, because it'll be successful eventually. It's about how much time have you got to do this. Like, it might be 10 years before you're successful, but if you haven't got 10 years worth of motivation and energy, and you only do it for 7 years, you're 3 years away from being successful, and it all stops. So if you only got 7 years worth of motivation and energy for a 10-year project, it's never going to work. Some people get lucky and they're successful within 1 year. So it really keeps them, the motivation and energy is easy to have when you're successful. So if you're successful after a year, it's easy. But if you're not successful for 10 years, you've got to have 10 years worth of motivation and energy. And you've got to be prepared for that sometimes.
Yeah, oh no, totally. I mean, I've been there myself in the past as well, and as you know, clients I've worked with and stuff, and yeah, it is hard to sustain that momentum sometimes. But if you see the bigger picture, you know, it's all about longevity, and that's the way
Yeah.
this thing works. You need longevity, and if you can sustain that, then it will come at some point.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like having mentors is good. I've got a mentor called Michael Rosenberg, who has kind of helped me through my career and mentored me. I go and see him every now and then, and we talk about the industry, and he helps me push forward. And so having mentors is good. Having YouTube channels that you follow is good, like people that inspire you, people that motivate you, reading books of people that inspire you and motivate you. Like, have all these different drivers of motivation. So you maybe read a book, you watch a YouTube channel, you go and see a mentor. Like, they all help you stay on track and stay motivated, because we're all human and we all lack motivation sometimes, and we all need a push sometimes. So if you have 5 or 10 different things surrounding you that are always pushing you from different angles, you're always going to keep going. You know, you never just stop and do nothing.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's good advice really to share. You know, a good mentor in place always goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of income revenue streams for artists and stuff, as a manager alone, what in your opinion do you feel are the main focuses to generate income? Where should a future artist manager look to try and develop in to make that money?
Well, obviously before coronavirus and COVID-19, it was live. You know, like the live market was booming. Shows, festivals, summer islands, all new festivals were opening up. It was a really great time for live. So, and that's taken a massive hit this year. So I don't think that will come back until 2021 really. So, but that is a big market for artists now, is live. And obviously the DSPs and the digital platforms now to release your music. Spotify is huge now, Apple Music and Amazon, Deezer, all those places that you can anyone from home can make a song, upload it, and then drive streams to it to generate their own income. So, and that's only a market that's going to, you know, double and triple in size over the next few years. So that's a massive opportunity for all of us as well. And then the sync side of it, like getting synchronizations for adverts and, you know, movies and trailers. And there's so many adverts these days on Instagram and, you know, alone, TV, YouTube, you know, you get synchronizations now, you get some good money from that as well. So there's so many different avenues now, merchandising and, you know, the label PPL side, that, you know, there's more than enough revenue streams now to sustain a healthy company and a healthy artist. If the artist is talented enough, works hard enough, and, you know, creates good music. At the end of the day, it's the music business, so you've got to have good music.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what are your thoughts as an artist manager with regards to a recent comment? So there was a recent comment in the industry that was dropped where someone said that, you know, artists shouldn't think that they should only release a song every, you know, once every year, and that should be enough to sustain an income with development and promo. They should be releasing as much as possible. What's your take on that as a manager?
It's a difficult one because it's a question that has many answers. Like I spoke to Ironic about this yesterday actually, and we was talking about it because we were in the beginning of the year planning to do a song a month for him, like song a month, 12 songs, 12 months. But I just feel like it's about which artist is doing it. If you're Beyonce or you're Adele or you're Drake, you can do one album a year, put 12 songs on there if you want, and that's your promo for the year done. I mean, everyone's going to go and buy it. Everyone's going to go and stream it. You know, you're going to have a promo budget, and you can go from there. Like, that'll sustain you for another couple of years. Like, if you're an up and coming artist, then you should have a lot more productivity because you need more awareness. So no one's going to be aware of you unless you keep putting music out. So I feel like if you're an upcoming artist, you need to put music out consistently. If you're a big artist, then you don't really need to do that. But there's a fine balance, because if you put too much music out, people may become bored of that. So it's about the quality of the music. If you put out 12 amazingly good songs in 12 months, then brilliant. If you put 12 average songs out in 12 months, then people start getting bored. So if you're making average music, you need to release less music. If you're making great music, then you can release as much music as you want. And social media is a big part of that. You know, every day on your social media, promoting your songs, finding excuses to create content. And that's what it's about. So it's a fine balance. Depends who the artist is, really, but engaging with your audience is a big part of it, and knowing your audience. If your audience want a song every day from you, or a song every month or every week, then that's what you give them. If you're a Beyonce fan, sometimes craving a new album is part of it, so they release once a year.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, where you said they're engaging an audience and stuff through socials, do you use analytical tools to do that, looking for trends and things, or affiliates? So like Chartmetric, for example, you know, they use Instagram and as one of their metrics, and you know, it shows you what your fans are into. As an artist manager, do you find that kind of a valuable tool for content ideas?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends what stage you're at of your career. We use, like, you know, the Spotify back offices and all those things to an Instagram back office, just to know where your fans are, what areas they're in, you know, where people are listening to your music the most, so that you can then program a show for that scene or for that area. And it just helps to know where your fans are and what they're listening to, what song they're listening to, how long they're listening to it for, and what times they're listening to, so you know what time to post music adverts and stuff. It's all helpful information. But I think the bigger the artist is, really, the less that stuff matters. I think when you're trying to build your career, you need to target specifics. Again, if you're Drake, everyone's listening to your music everywhere, so it's less relevant for the bigger artists, because, you know, they could put on a show in a desert and people would be booking flights to get there, wouldn't they? Do you know what I mean? So
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for new artists and stuff, I mean, regarding the social media aspect of getting our exposure, I mean, one thing that, you know, a lot of people suggest is Facebook alone. You know, if you've got 10,000 followers on your page, you know, you could bang a post out and it could be some really relevant, creative post, but it doesn't reach the 10,000 fans, and it costs, you know, so then you're having to boost a post to reach the 10,000 fans. And again, you know, that leads to the question, that asks the question, is it worth investing so heavily into this kind of social media?
I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's very clever, because he said that he would never make anybody pay for Facebook. Facebook was always going to be free, but it is to sign up. But if you want to actually reach your audience that you've developed, it costs money. So that's how Facebook make their money. And if you put £50 into a Facebook boost, you know, it normally gets to a few thousand people if you target the right people. So it's, you know, it's part of your promo budget. And it's just something that you have to accept. I think if you're going to promote anywhere or market anywhere, it's going to cost you money. So I feel like it's worth doing. There are ways to engage your audience. If you know what your audience are looking for, then you know what to create for them. And that goes back to the analytics that you mentioned before. And the consistency, like making good content all the time for your audience. It's only going to grow the numbers. Again, it takes time and effort and money, and motivation to keep going until you crack the barrier and have a fan base. You know, it costs time and money. There's no getting around that, for sure.
Yeah, totally. With regards to time and money and resources and things, at what stage of an artist's career do you feel as a manager is the kind of right time to invest in a team around you? So like pluggers, or go shopping for a label, things like that.
You know, again, it's an individually based question. I mean, some people might have rich parents or a rich uncle, or find a friend with money or whatever, and have a budget from the beginning, and that accelerates their career. They could, you know, buy advertising space, marketing, promotion, make a better music video, have a better recording session. All that stuff makes a difference in terms of your overall project and your package. If you're starting by yourself, you know, in a bedroom with 50 quid for a Facebook promotion, you know, it's going to take you a lot longer. So when you cross that barrier from becoming a bedroom artist to a professional artist that has income streams and generating income and revenue, I think that's when you have a team around you to then push you on to the next stage. So if you're generating revenue, you might then say, okay, some of this revenue I'm not going to spend on have for myself. I'm going to use it by employing a radio plugger to get my songs on the radio, to then get more income, to then push on to the next level. So I think it's all about balance and develop, and knowing where you are in your development stage. To really know how much you should be spending or how much you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I couldn't agree more with that. With regards to like radio pluggers, for example, you know, is that something you would just naturally, if you had the money, would you just naturally employ them for the first single, or would you try and build up a story first before going to radio? What's your take on that?
I think it depends what the story is you're trying to say, you're trying to tell. If you're trying to tell a street story, that I'm from the street, I'm from the estate, I'm as natural and as organic and as authentic as it gets, then you build that first online. You go on YouTube, put out a YouTube video that tells what your brand is, whether it's Grime Daily, Link Up TV, any other indie band one, or whatever sort of genre you're in. You build it yourself, or put your own videos out telling that story that you're trying to create. And once you've built that story, you then take that story into radio with your radio plugger. Your radio plugger takes that story into the radio. But if you are not telling a story like that, that hasn't got to be as authentic or real. If you're a girl band, or if you're a pop star starting from the very beginning, you have a radio plugger, because that is your story. Your radio plugger will build your story for you at radio. So if you're Shawn Mendes, a pop star, and you're not selling authenticity, then you have a radio plugger from the beginning, because your radio plugger needs to build a story for you at radio. And you may not get your song on the radio for the first 4 singles because your radio plugger's building the story for you at radio. It might be your 5th song that the radio's like, oh, we get this now. The story makes sense. Let's put this one on the radio. So it's all different horses for courses, really.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, moving on from that, in terms of the publishing side of things, would you encourage the practice for any artist manager or any aspiring artist to ensure things like PRS are signed up for, PPL before any release?
Yeah, I mean, the label side of it, the PPL income, it's always handy to have registered anyway, just so that it's all there and your catalogue's all there, and you can go back on it at any time. Anytime it does get played or picked up, you're going to get the income. And the same for the PRS. If you're an independent artist and you want to develop your publishing catalogue, then you sign up for PRS and do that. And just so you always have every release you've ever done there, and it's catalogued, it's ready to be monetized anytime. It's always beneficial to have that. And then let the royalties just collect for you. Just let them collect. Don't even worry about them. As long as you've registered it, as long as you've taken the time and effort to be organized, register it, let the royalties come in. You might look at it in 3 years' time and there's money there. So that's a good way to do it until you're at a point where you go in for a publishing deal. That's sometimes the balance, because sometimes you can go for a publishing deal and you've put all your songs on PRS already and you've already earned the income, and then there's nothing for the publisher. Whereas if you just put songs out and then go and get a publishing deal, then it can all come together,
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's clear that, the biggest stream revenues for an artist these days come from live side publishing, sync stuff, and of course, streaming revenue. One thing that I see artist managers doing a lot lately, more so, is they're signing more songwriters now than artists. Is this something you think is a good move? And do you think it's, from a monetary point of view, do you think it's beneficial?
Yeah, I think songwriters have always been one of the most important cogs in the wheel in terms of writing brilliant songs, because without brilliant songs, there's nothing for any of us. There's no live show. There is no marketing that you need. You need less marketing budget if it's a great song. So, it's so important for songwriters to write great songs, and it always has been and it always will be. So they play such an important role in music that they should be signed and they should be given everything they need, all the tools they need to write great songs, because that's the be all and end all of what we all do is great songs. You can't go to a festival and listen to crap songs. So you need good songs to be there. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the strategies I see now is you see a lot of artist managers signing a handful of songwriters, and they're literally just getting them to churn out tracks and tracks and tracks. And then obviously they're sending them over to, labels, production companies and things like that. And they're making a fortune off the sync. So they're not using them to climb the charts as such or turn into an artist to develop as an artist brand. They're just literally using them to supply music for people.
I mean, there's two edges to that. Like part of it I admire, which is the hard work, dedication and motivation it takes to write that many songs every day, all the time, and churn them out. But then there's part of me that artistically doesn't appreciate that, because we're not in a factory business where we're churning out manufactured songs. I think songs that are great take time and effort and artistry, and they're pieces of art, So if you'd never get someone like, a Da Vinci or a Van Gogh, or they create pieces of art. You'd never churn a piece of art out every day like you're part of a machine. Like, if it's really beautiful, it should take you time to develop it and craft it. And so there's part of it that I appreciate from the artist point, and there's part of it I appreciate from the hard work point of view. But I like to have a nice balance where we're writing great songs that we then take to sync, I don't really like churning out just any old song all day, every day, because then you feel like you're working in a factory. You might as well go and do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean it's a good view to have there. It does it does give it the whole conveyor belt setup, and
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine for some people, and it works, and it takes a lot of effort and hard work to do that. So I do appreciate that, but I'm more of an artist where I prefer the art to be great before anything else. Because if it's a great song, you haven't got to work so hard on getting all the syncs anyway, because it's a great song and everyone's going to want it. So if you work on making the song amazing, the rest of it's a lot easier.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, for students that are watching this, you know, any potential artist managers or label execs of the future, what would you give them advice if you were now, I mean, if there was a smaller version of you, Matt, who was 15, 14 years old, whatever,
Yeah.
if you could go and revisit your younger self and give them, I don't know, a couple of pieces of advice about artist management, what would you give them?
I would just tell them to stay in the game, stick with it. You know, like I tell people to stay in the game all the time, because it's so easy to fall out of it, fall out of love with it, give up, lose motivation, lose energy. It's, you know, that stuff can take over you. And a lot of people that try and get into music or love music or want to be in music, they let that feeling override them and they end up quitting, or, you know, working in property or something, you know. But if their destiny and their love is in music, then let that drive you and let that keep you in the game, because you literally never know when your break's coming. And if you stay working hard and stay with it all the time, then your break will come. It might take 10 years, like we said earlier, it might take 10 months, but it will come, and you have to be there and ready for it when it does come. So stay in the game, stay motivated and keep working hard, stay humble, be good to people, and people will be good to you.
Sounds really good. Yeah, I couldn't put that better myself. So yes, students who are watching this, again, you know, I know this is another marketing module. I know this is the artist management module, and I know at some point you will want to aspire to become an artist manager, potentially of a successful brand and stuff. But remember, it's above all else, it's crucial that you stay within the game. You don't give up. You will face rejection at some point. We all do, but it's just a way of getting past that. Keep going, and if one door doesn't open, look for others. Maintain social media, make sure you've got a good strategy, and just know when to invest in the brand further, know when to look further for the things like record labels, publishing deals. Identify when your artist is at that level before, you know, jumping into the deep end, over investing, and putting yourself in a bit of a tricky position, both for you and the brand. Is that fair to say, Matt?
100%, man. And set yourself goals. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you have a plan for what your next goal is. It doesn't matter how small it is. If you say, I want to get from A to B before I go to C, then you'll always climb the ladder, you know. So just set yourself out targets and goals, and reach them. And then once you're at that goal, make another one and get to the next one and keep doing that. Trust me, if you do that for 10 years, when you look back, you'll be like, oh, I remember when I was at B and C, and now I'm at X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. Lastly, Matt, do you have any social media handles that anybody could follow you if they want to reach out for any advice or an email, anything you like?
Yeah, I'm always talking to people. I'm always trying to help people and do my best with that. Doing, you know, talks and school things and Q&As and stuff. So anyone's got a question for me or their career or need some advice, I'm on Instagram at Rolling with Hainesy, ROLLIN, the WITHHAYNZY. Twitter Hainesy, and yeah, that's it. That's me. I'm part of a producer group called Designer Doubt as well. We make bangers, so hit us up on Designer Doubt. And yeah, if you see me about, holla. Let's get to work.
Sounds good. All right. Well, listen, Matt, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure the students will find this extremely valuable. And yeah, good luck with everything. I'm sure I'll be in touch soon.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys, and take care. Good luck.